Hi, I'm Jeff Dixon. Welcome to Peace, a mini-series where we're talking about peace. In our previous episodes, we looked at a couple of Christmas stories that talk about peace. We talked about the fact that the source of peace, if we really want to discover peace, can only come from God, which then should beg the question, if peace can only come from God, then can we have peace with God? Because if He's going to give us peace, then is that peace available so that we can live in peace with God? One of the reasons that Christmas true story that we told in the introduction episode to this theory is so compelling is because enemies substituted peace for fighting, even for a few fleeting hours. The temporary peace that the soldiers enjoyed was the exception to the rule. The rule being that enemies fight, enemies don't share in peace. And though it's harsh to think about in these terms, before Jesus came to earth, man was the enemy of God. For if when we were enemies, we were reconciled to God through the death of His Son, much more having been reconciled, we shall be saved by His life, according to Romans chapter 5, verse 10. It is the fact that Jesus' death and our faith in the effects of that death have allowed us to enter into a time or era in history where we can, for the first time, have peace with God. So what does it mean to have peace with God? Well, think about it first in human terms. If you and a friend, child, or spouse have experienced a break in a relationship, what happens? Communication, intimacy, friendship, and expressions of love are either strained or they disappear altogether. But when some form of reconciliation is made, when some form of bridging that gap happens, then the signs of the relationship begin to be restored. Or another way of saying peace has been restored, even though it's a human peace. The same way, though, is true in our relationship with God. That helps us understand how we can have peace with God. He created us to live in fellowship, oneness, unity with Him. And when we say no, we reject God. And that's what happened when there was a fall, a break in the human race as a result of the sin of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. But Jesus enters the world and gives us an opportunity, each one as individuals, to respond to Him and say, God, we're sorry about that. And yes, we want peace. And so the answer to the question is, if peace comes from God, can we have peace with God? And the answer is yes. But the way we find peace with God is by giving back to God the very thing that He gave to us, our life. And when we're willing to give our lives, we're putting our faith in Him because of the sacrifices that He's made. And those sacrifices that He's made went to pay the price and pave the way so we could know peace. And so, stay with me. Where have you been so far in the series? Well, if you want to have peace, you can find it, but you have to know the source. It's from God. And that begs the question then, can you have peace with God? Yes, only when you accept His terms of peace, if you will, what it takes to have peace. And if you will do that, then you can experience something else that we're going to talk about in the last episode of this mini-series. Then you can experience peace of God in your own life. I look forward to joining you next time. Until then, peace.